In this video, I'll give you the top waiver wire players that target going into week 2 of the NFL season. I'm Jim Coventry of Rotowire. All right, quarterbacks, not a whole lot going. If you're in a start 2 quarterback league and every quarterback has value and you automatically have to have somebody, then I will tell you to take a look at either Malik, Willis, most likely, or Sean Clifford, with Jordan Love expected to miss 3 to 4 weeks. In that case, you have to have a body at quarterback. If Malik Willis starts, which he finished the game when Love was out, he would have a potential running element. Not a good quarterback. The offense is going to be a problem. Sean Clifford, probably a little more of a passer. Not sure who they're going to go with, so we'll keep an eye on that as we get closer to your waiver wires. Definitely check if there's any word as to who Green Bay is prepping to start. But as right now, Willis has his bets only in mandatory 2 quarterback leagues where you have to have somebody available, and that's going to be it. 4 weeks is probably about the end of it. All right, let's move to the running back. If you're in a shallow league, obviously in larger leagues, 12-team competitive leagues, J.K. Dobbins is already rostered. But again, in smaller leagues, maybe he's not, so I have to point this out. Dobbins goes 10 carries for 135 yards and a touchdown, a 61-yard run in there, another explosive run. Obviously, Gus Edwards just goes 11 for 26. Kamani Vidal was inactive. It looks like Dobbins somehow coming off an Achilles, and he's had prior ACL injuries. Looks like the back we had before the injuries. Maybe it doesn't last, but for right now, it would seem that Dobbins does have the inside track on leading this backfield. Clearly better than an aging Gus Edwards if Dobbins is his pre-injury form. And right now it looks that way. So that would be a priority at, of course, in many leagues he's rostered, but if he's not in yours, then he's definitely somebody you want. Bucky Irving of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers is next. Now, obviously, the Buccaneers were playing a very bad Washington defense. And of course, Rashod White got 75 yards as a receiver, but White was not getting it done as a runner. And we've seen that the past couple of years. Well, Bucky Irving had 9 carries, went for 62 yards, also caught a pair of passes. Now, Rashod White had a lot of volume, but Irving getting those 11 touches, that's significant. And he may have done enough to cut into White's workload. The thing is, I always said, Rashod White, he's not getting 336 touches if the team has another capable back. No team wants to give their running back, if his name isn't Derrick Henry or some big monster at running back like Breece Hall, who, they're not going to give him that kind of work. And so Bucky Irving can be significant and a flex option if he can continue to play as he did in week 1. Alexander Mattison of the Las Vegas Raiders is next. We were banking on Zamir White being the lead guy. Now, Alexander Mattison only had 5 carries, but he had 6 targets, catching a 31-yard touchdown. And I noticed now I know the touchdown came when the game was very competitive early, but if they're trailing late, the Raiders, and they're trailing in games, Mattison will probably be the passing down back. And based on how he looked in week 1, he should be a very significant part of this backfield, even with White being active and playing. And again, we're desperate for running backs in a lot of the leagues. So if Mattison is available, he is somebody, especially in that PPR format, who you really should be considering rostering. Tank Bigsby of Jacksonville Jaguars is next. Travis Etienne, we've seen it the first couple of years he's played. I know he was injured 3 years ago with his foot, but the last 2 years he's played, and we've always seen it. When he gets work, the coaching staff always scales it down. After the bye last week, Etienne was getting like 12.9 carries per game, down from like 18. Well, he gets 12 carries yesterday. Tank Bigsby gets 12 carries as well. Now, unlike last year when Tank Bigsby was terrible, Bigsby was going for 6 yards a pop. So pretty insane. So Bigsby looks good, and they were talking him up in the summer. So Bigsby's probably in a timeshare here as long as he plays well. They clearly want to limit Etienne's work. It's not any indication that Etienne's not a superstar, but I think they believe in keeping him fresh and using a committee. So Tank Bigsby right now is viable. The Ravens, Justice Hill. We saw it on Thursday night. Plays 54% of the snaps, more than Derrick Henry. If they have to go to the passing game, Justice Hill's their receiver. And he has 8 targets, 6 catches, 52 yards through the air, only carried the ball once. But hey, if you're in a PPR league, it may be game script. If you see a game where the Ravens may have to lean into the pass a little bit more, Justice Hill's viable, but he is going to see time on the field. Even last year, Derrick Henry with Tennessee, he was ceding snaps, and often Tyjae Spears in Tennessee was playing more snaps than Derrick Henry. So this kind of is a similar plan, it looks like. So Justice Hill in PPR league, yeah, you might look at him. Deeper leagues, Ty Chandler, it was a weird game where the Vikings blew out the Giants. So Chandler gets 8 carries and 3 targets. Aaron Jones was the clear lead guy. Chandler involved a little bit, but due to the nature of the game, Chandler might have gotten a little more work. Chandler would have most value if Jones missed time, but certainly to look at him. And also, take a look at Jaamal Williams if you have to. Again, it's just digging pretty deep, but last year, Williams looked washed. Well, yesterday, I know it was a bad Panthers team, but 12 touches, 51 yards. Kind of hard to argue with that, right? Hey, if you enjoy videos like this, please consider hitting the like button and subscribe to the Rotowire Fantasy Football channel on YouTube. Also, you can get all of our content and rankings. You get a free due-day trial with no credit card needed. Just go to rotowire.com/Jim, and you can check out all of our content. Wide receiver. Look, I have him in all my leagues, but I checked Yahoo, and he was 10% rostered. Wan'Dale Robinson, 12 targets, caught 6 for 44 against the Vikings. Malik Neighbors was the lead guy in terms of yards, but Wan'Dale Robinson, as kind of said, when pressure's on Daniel Jones, Wan'Dale Robinson's going to be a real friendly target in the middle of the field. He finished strong last year. So Wan'Dale Robinson in your PPR leagues, he should be rostered. And a similar player in some ways, Greg Dortch of the Cardinals. Clear number 3 in his case, whereas Wan'Dale, he is the number 3, but he is way better than Darius Slayton in terms of what the team will need. But Greg Dortch, 8 targets. He was their leading wide receiver. Blew away Marvin Harrison, blew away Michael Wilson, 6 catches, 47 yards. There's going to be pressure. The offensive line is not very good, and Kyler Murray's going to have to get the ball out, and Greg Dortch is going to be a valuable receiver. And we've seen it in the past. When he gets pressed into action in the last 2 years, he produces. So Greg Dortch in your PPR league, somebody you want. Now, this one is going to be dependent. If Puka Nacua is set to miss time, and we don't know that as of this recording time, but if he misses time, Tyler Johnson stepped into his role, and 5 catches, 79 yards, 7 targets, and Sean McVay can make anybody a star. Demarcus Robinson's been a thing. Kyron Williams became a thing. Last year, Puka Nacua was a massive thing. Cooper Kupp had a Superman season. At this point, if Sean McVay is going to say, I'm putting this guy on this field in this role, I'm buying. I'm buying all day long. So if say it 5 times, if Nacua misses time, Tyler Johnson is somebody you need to consider adding. Devaughn Vele, 7th round draft pick of the Broncos. Strong training camp, right? Comes in, catches all 8 targets, only 39 yards in a pop gun offense, dink and dunk, but he's going to be a regular in 3 receiver sets. They're going to have to throw these short passes. If you're in a PPR league, Vele's going to catch some passes here. So you got to consider him as well. Rashod Batemen, the Baltimore Ravens. He played 84% of the snaps, 5 targets, catches 2 for 53. One of the only guys they're going to use downfield, it seems. They don't figure their offensive lineup might not be a lot of downfield passing. But John Harbaugh said in the offseason he expects Bateman to be the clear number 2, and he didn't lie. He was. Don't know what the production will be, but depending how deep your league is, it does look like Bateman will be involved. This is a very deep league one. I have him rostered in most of my 14-team leagues, but Ray McCloud, 3rd receiver on the Falcons. I know he's Ray McCloud, but 3 receiver sets, and he led their receivers, 4 catches, 52 yards, 7 targets. As the slot receiver, I think he's going to see some action. Again, he's not going to win your fantasy league, but if you need a depth piece in PPR, yeah, you could do worse. Tight ends, Isaiah Likely's the obvious ad. If he's on your waiver wire, go ahead and spend him. He's not getting 12 targets every week. Mark Andrews only had 2, but Isaiah Likely, a great catch and run guy. It's clear they're going to use him. So definitely make sure you add him, because right now what we saw, he's in the tight end 1 conversation, especially if he's going to be as heavily used. And maybe he is the number 2 receiver in the offense, maybe number 3 at worst if they're going to keep him on the field. Colby Parkinson, consider him 4 for 47 on 5 targets, plays for the Rams. I'd be stunned if Tyler Higbee came back before December, and you need somebody now. So Colby Parkinson, definitely somebody to target. In Green Bay, I'm kind of avoiding some of these weapons while Jordan Love is out, but he's not going to miss that long. Tucker Kraft played 96% of the snaps, only 25% for Luke Musgrave. Many of us drafted Musgrave as the guy, ignored Kraft. It might be the other way around. Based on that sample size in week 1, 96% snaps, Tucker Kraft is the tight end to own, but he's tough to start if Jordan Love's not out there, but definitely a good stash. Mike Gesicki, Cincinnati Bengals, 4 targets. He had a touchdown overturned by replay. Looked good to me, but apparently replay found something and he didn't score. So, but he is a factor in the middle of the field, somebody to look at. Finally, this one's a big one. Jake Ferguson has little MCL things, going to miss some time. Luke Schoonmaker. We know Dak Prescott loves the tight end. Schoonmaker showed in limited action he can play. He may be in a prominent role. So for short-term help, Luke Schoonmaker may be fantasy starter viable as soon as this week.